it's true that Clarence Thomas and I were friendly before he was on the federal bench, before he was on the DC Circuit, let alone the Supreme Court. When he was chairman of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission in the early 1980s, that's when I met him. And when we were not bosom buddies, but we became friendly. And, he said, if you're in DC, look me up. And I did look him up, and we went out to dinner. We went back to his apartment and had a drink, and we chatted, because they're Black conservatives, not very many of us around. And I have more respect for Justice Thomas than your average person that you're going to snatch off the street, maybe even your average Republican, because he's a Black guy. I can identify with his struggle and so forth and so on. And I'm not going to try to mount a full-throated defense of Justice Thomas here. I'm going to say this. I could have been and would have been, had the thing gone its natural course, a economics policy management counterpart to the legal career that culminated in Thomas ascending to the Supreme Court, where he's changed American history with his jurisprudence. That could have been me, and it wasn't me. At the time when this was going on, I thought, this is a disaster and I've ruined my life. In retrospect, I realized how different my life would have been had I pursued the path on which I had set foot. And I am grateful that it didn't go that way for a lot of reasons, some of which I think are already implicit in the remarks I've made here to this point. Certainly, I would not be married to Lan Loury if I had gone that route. And I'm very happy to be married to my lovely wife, Lan Loury.
that is a man who has learned from hard experience how to keep a woman happy.
We call it a good save.
Yeah. That's a good save. Well, since you brought up Clarence Thomas, this was a question I had, because I saw you recently in one of your conversations with John McWhorter talking about how Clarence Thomas had this very rough background as well, as really a self-made man who came up from poverty. And you're really, I think, illustrating this hypocrisy of the liberal class, in that they won't credit a conservative with a very creditable story like that. But at the same time, you also mentioned in your book how from very early on, you recognized that no matter what path you chose, you described being either an economist who is very conscientiously not being a Black economist dealing with Black issues, or being an economist who very consciously specializes in Black issues, that it's kind of something you can't get around. You're going to be defined in that way, one way or the other. So when you've got a Black conservative with a remarkable life story that I assume you find very relatable with your own background, does it deeply disappoint you that he's given such an appearance of impropriety? Does that hurt your cause to legitimize a Black intellectual like Clarence Thomas when he conducts himself that way, or gives the perception of conducting himself that way?
No, it doesn't. I mean, I'm just going to tell you, and brace yourself. I think it's a hit job on Justice
Don't tell
Thomas.
me to brace yourself. You brace yourself. You're the one sitting next to Lawan. I don't. Coast is clear on my end. I don't gonna brace myself.
I was telling her to brace herself.
Oh, okay, all right.
Well, as I was about to deliver the punchline, which is, I think, the ProPublica. Is that where a lot of this stuff is coming from? Is the Harlan Crow was explained? Man, I was at a conference in Dallas that Justice Thomas attended, and we were. People took 2 days getting out of that airport because of the weather and the firestorm, thunderstorm activity and whatnot. And Justice Thomas had to get back to the East Coast, and I'm pretty sure it was Harlan Crow's private craft that got him back home. And that's the kind of thing that people are saying, grifting. And I'm saying,
right,
he's got a rich friend, reached out and put his arm around him a little bit. Is it a good look? No. It's not a good look. Is it grifting and corruption? I don't think so. I think that's overblown. I think the politics of the Supreme Court, the Dobbs decision, Thomas's obstreperous, arch-conservative reading of the Constitution, I think people are out with knives out to get him, and they're trying to pull him down. And that, the damage to his reputation associated with a concerted effort to discredit him and the ideas that he stands for, is what I'm disappointed in, not his moral turpitude that's tarnishing what otherwise would be a admirable record of life achievement for a Black person coming from beyond, because he has an admirable record of life achievement. He's had a tremendous impact on American law. There are a lot of people, not ideologues, who are supportive of Justice Thomas's jurisprudence in a number of the areas in which he has held opinion. I don't have to agree with all of it, but I think he's a great American, and, you know, like I say, brace yourself, and is an easy target. And if I had proceeded to Senator Loury or Secretary Loury or something like that, believe me, they'd be having the knives out for me too, and they'd be coming after me and using everything, including the double life stuff, that they could to discredit me. So I'm giving Justice Thomas the benefit of the doubt in that regard.
All right, well, we got to go to Luan now.
Yes. She just shook her head through that whole monologue. All right, so what are your thoughts, Luan, on the record of one Justice Thomas?
I purchased the book, The Enigma of Clarence Thomas by Corey Robin. I've watched Brianna Joy Gray's interview with him, and I listened to 4 long episodes of Behind the Bastards regarding Clarence Thomas's life. Clarence Thomas's life, and I just I tried to listen to my husband's defense of him, and I just don't agree. I think that based on his own admissions, that he wanted to be rich and powerful, and he's rich and he's powerful. He's right where he wants to be, and with that comes corruption and entitlement, and I think he was a DEI hire as well.
Oh, I like.
Oh, snap!
Flip the script.
Are
Right
you
there.
you angling for a job in the Trump administration?
Yeah.
Look, if Thomas wanted to be rich, he'd resign from the Supreme Court, where they pay him. What do they pay him? $300,000 a year, $400,000 a year? I'm not saying that's nothing. That's a good wage, but you know. And he'd be with Eric Holder or one of these people, partner in one of the hip operating top law firms in DC or in New York. He'd be making $10 million a year. He's not rich.
Yeah, but that doesn't come with the status of being a justice on the Supreme Court. So maybe that's his way of having it both ways. All right, you got the status of being on SCOTUS, and you make some money off your powerful friends, or you get to live that lifestyle through their largesse.
Yes.
Okay. Not the worst sin in the world, if you ask me, and certainly not unprecedented.
Remember now, he didn't buy that.
No, not unprecedented. No, I'd grant you that.
Okay.
Please clap.